Do you have someone waiting for you in Baldur's Gate, Astarion? A sweetheart, perhaps?
Not one in particular. The city is a veritable feast of sweethearts.
You must be eager to get back, then. Slimmer pickings out in this wilderness.
No sweethearts, no. I prefer them savory.
This is what I get for trying to strike up conversation.
There's magic here, but it's of a rancid, impure form. Nothing like the true weave at all.
This is why I appreciate a sharp blade to a ball of fire or a bolt of lightning. The weave is inconsistent, unruly.
The weave is constant, but its users, anything but. We must be on our guard.
A Githyanki warrior hardly needs to be told that.
They're not mutually exclusive. The weave is served best with a dash of eloquence.
Chin up, Halsin. I know you don't favor Lady Shah's darkness, but look, trees.
I will not be taunted in this place. Not after all it has taken from me. Show respect, or you will force my hand.
Is that so? It's quite a hand.
I'm used to a crypt's gloom. This is something else.
Such depth to the shadows. I don't care what others say about the underdark. It's beautiful down here.
I've spent long enough in the dark. It gets old.
What is this? This place makes me feel sad. Melancholy.
Ah, so you're susceptible to the tragedy of a broken home. Maybe you've more in common with us weaker beings than you thought.
There's no call to be insulting.
A gallows? Nooses are for amateurs. That's what I was taught in the grotto. Do you know how badly those things can go wrong?
I'd rather not think of it, Shadowheart.
You could strangle them by accident, use too much rope and break off their legs, and if it goes really badly, you could wrench their heads right off.
What a picture you paint. Quite detailed, quite colourful, quite unnecessary.
Bones, rusted weapons. A great battle was fought here.
An extra vicious one, I think. No one buried their dead.
Exactly the sort of battle I lived to fight. And the sort made even more thrilling with a hot-hearted tiefling at my side.
So, you and Lae'zel. Seems tense.
Please don't remind me. But keep your guard up with her.
Noted.
Not to diminish our efforts, but it was rather simple getting here in the end, wasn't it?
The obstacles ahead of us promise to be higher still, which will make the pleasure of overcoming them all the more potent. Imagine the glorious din of it all. The streaming banners, the charging knights, the piles of severed limbs and heads.
I'd rather not, if it's all the same to you.
My first visit to the Undercity. A haven for undead, or so my tutors said.
Shadow people roaming shadow streets. There's little more to learn down here but some depressing ways to die.
I have to ask, Astarion, do people taste different from one another when you feed?
Of course. There are different vintages. Young Noble is wonderful if you can get it, but Crone has its charms too.
Come on. You know I'm talking about their blood.
It all depends. A clean neck certainly helps.
Whatever I expected to find lurking in this cursed gloom, it certainly wasn't this. Glimmer of hope amidst the darkness.
That's one way of looking at it. You could also say it's a prime target. The one pocket of light in the gloom.
Oh, pragmatism. Thy name is Shadowheart. You're not wrong, though. Best we keep our sojourn here to a minimum.
True warriors among the city's flaming fists seem exceedingly rare. The worst are mere rats scurrying about their warren.
And what do we do with rats, Lae'zel? We hang them by the tails and burn their warrens.
I'll be keeping an eye on you. Understand?
If I choose to kill you, you will not even see it.
Lae'zel, are you sure of the greeting we'll find at this creche of yours?
Of course I'll be welcomed. And if you behave, you may keep your head too.
I can count on you to vouch for me, I hope.
Don't worry. You're more useful to me alive.
I used to like this neighborhood. It was quieter than inside the walls. Darker, too.
A good hunting ground, then.
Oh, yes. Slimmer pickings, but safer targets. The perfect place to learn the craft.
Karlak, this brain we go to bully, Boo has suggested it is large. Wizard brain large? Boo brain large?
Like, as many boo brains as a mortal mind can fathom. It's an elder brain after all. You heard of those?
What is an elder brain?
Honestly, I'm not completely sure. But I know it'll be no match for you, me, and the hamster.
Of course!
So many dark nooks and crannies. This fortress is a lurker's paradise.
Would you not prefer basking in the sun, like a lizard, now that it no longer blisters your pretty skin?
Old habits die hard, darling. Surely you know that.
So, Shadowheart. Such a name implies yours is a difficult heart to find.
It's not that hard to find. Perhaps any difficulty is more telling of you, Gale.
The Society of Brilliance. These preposterous fools love to meddle in underdark affairs. They are most amusing.
Amusing? Wherein lies the humor?
They seek to promote peace between species through mutual understanding. Ha!
Even my people know the value of a carefully crafted coalition, Minthara. Is our own alliance not a case in point? I've been watching you fight, Shadowheart. Your skills are improving.
My skills were just fine to begin with. You can save the compliments.
Odd. I'd expect a flaming fist or four to be stationed nearby.
I grieve to tell you, Will. They never were. They stick to sunnier streets. Heavens forbid they disrupt any of that guild business they're so well paid to ignore,
The fists aren't what they used to be.
Hey, what's on your mind, Astarion? You seemed a million miles away just then.
Oh, I was just pondering that heart of yours. There were times I would have been thrilled if everyone who put their hands on me burst into flames.
I'd trade you if I could.
I always wondered what a vampire's lair would look like. Can't say I pictured it being quite this theatrical.
I find it surprisingly similar to Queen Vlaakith's aesthetic.
That makes sense. She does have a flair for the dramatic.
Lozelle, how would you punish someone who wronged you?
Wrong me how?
Oh, say, murder or theft?
Killing is good. It culls the weak. But theft would be paid for painfully, 1,000 times over.
Good to know.
I saw you pressing a bunch of flowers the other day in a book. Not like you to keep something forever.
They'll crumble away in time. But no harm in appreciating their beauty until then.
No day, no night. It's as though time itself has abandoned this place. Similar to the astral plane in some ways. Wouldn't you say, Lozelle?
Hardly. It is said that the astral plane is threaded with light and silver, life-giving and wondrous in all directions. Nothing like this dismal abyss.
Tell me, Lozelle, what is it like on the astral plane? I mean, your home realm intrigues me.
Githyanki lay their eggs on other planes. They cannot mature in the astral.
Halsin, were there ever wolves in these woods?
Once, certainly. But not for 100 years. Any that still prowl this land can scarcely be called wolves any longer.
I see. 100 years is too far back for what I had in mind. No matter.
I've not heard of these flaming fists. Enlighten me, Will.
The coast's chief militia, led by none other than Grand Duke Ulder Ravengard himself.
Your father, you mean?
The very same.
Beyond that gate is the upper city, housing the great and the good of Baldur's Gate.
You yearn for a better class of company, Astarion?
Gods no. Who'd want to spend time with anyone, great or good?
A tadpole nursery, as on the Nautiloid. We must not leave it intact.
Quite right. So long as the attempt won't leave us similarly dismantled.
Caution is commendable. Boldness is extraordinary. In this case, I recommend the latter.
What a sight! We should stop for a nice little lunch. Take it all in.
Is the worm gnawing at your grey matter? We must find a creche and be purified.
True. Fine. First, purify the tadpole, then a little lunch.
You're an impressive fighter, Gale. You should consider a new name.
I take it you have some suggestions?
The Wizard Wonder. Or, how about, the Master of the Weave?
Tempting. But I think we might already have the maximum number of theatrical titles.
Such hoarding of wealth. A tomb for riches that could be put to better use.
I've heard the same said of bears, the kind you take the shape of. They hoard, gorge, and hibernate through hard times.
True, but only until the thaw. Then life goes on. This gold may never see daylight again, while others go cold and hungry.
So, Astarion, vampire dens. What should I expect?
Vampires would be a safe bet.
Hilarious. You belong on stage. Perhaps the blood-stained sort, with a hooded man standing by, axe in hand.
So long as there's a cheering crowd. As for vampire dens, I'd brace your nose. They can be very organic.
Pigeons, gulls, sparrows. These streets make a fine hunting ground for a Tressim like Tara.
In the Underdark, we have packs of winged hounds to deal with vermin like your precious Tara.
Flying hounds? Come now. You're pulling my leg, aren't you?
Yes, I am. It is the bats that would make a meal of her.
So this is where you interred Ketheric Thormhelsen. Couldn't you have done a little more to prevent his return?
We did the best we could under dire circumstances. You would suggest otherwise?
All I'm saying is that it's more difficult to come back from the dead if you were chopped up and had the pieces delivered to different corners of the realm.
I have seen many a gruesome death, but even I can't fathom some of the horrors inflicted in this supposed House of Healing.
You're young, child. If you survive as long as I have, you will witness greater horrors than this.
If you are fortunate, you may even inflict greater horrors in the name of your cause.
A question for our master monster hunter. How would you approach killing a vampire?
To start, lure it into the sun, drive a stake through its heart. Why?
Just curious.
A full-on vamp, you mean? Lure it into the sun, drive a stake through its heart. And that's not the end of it. The suckers are wily. And no offense.
None taken. Wiliness keeps me alive. More or less.
I itch to draw my weapon and gut every last one of these cultists.
You're keen. Just don't get carried away. Some of those guts might be of use to us unspilled, at least for a while.
I know better than to indulge every craving, Shadowheart. But when the time is right, the absolutists will feel the sting of my blade.
Minsk, you come from an entire nation of berserkers. Give me some of those good Rashomar pointers.
Oh, there is much to be learned. Deep breaths, meditative trances, strange and stinking mushrooms. But Minsk could master none of this, which made him sad, which made him mad, which made him the berserker you see before you.
Huh. Really?
And there is always Boo, with the needful nip when anger is slow in coming. This is not how you do it?
Umberly, a brutal goddess from what I understand, without even the slightest touch of subtlety to her.
Subtlety isn't exactly your forte. given how you've strolled about wearing a circlet inset with Shah's symbol.
You'd be surprised how people can miss what's in plain sight. I miss the fact that Shah was deceiving me. Besides, I have a new look now. Suits me, I think.
On that matter, you'll hear no argument from me.
That's different. You'd be surprised how easily Lady Shah can hide in plain sight. People go around blinkered, caught up in their own lives. Besides, it suits me.
Umberlee. Her clerics possess a nasty streak as wide as her oceans.
So their reputation suggests, especially among the good folk of Waterdeep. I'm curious to learn how you fell foul of them.
Blasphemy, said the temple priestess. But Minsk says, do not give horns to your statues if you do not wish the visitors to try and make them toot.
Yes, that will probably do it.
You know what I really miss about Baldur's Gate? The food. Freshest fish I've ever had.
I don't care for fish. Red meat, now, that's a different matter. Rare as can be. Dripping.
Well, unless we find a cure, you won't have any teeth to chew it with soon enough.
I admire your courage, Gale.
Thank you. Any particular reason?
Between the orb and the bug, you've got more than your fair share of unwelcome passengers.
What can I say? Mother always taught me to be a gracious host.
Gotta respect these Gith. They don't fool around.
Oh, I'm more than aware, trust me. I've had plenty of training in what to expect from them.
In that case, lead on, miss.
I'll certainly be treading very carefully. Trust me.
We're getting close. I do believe fate is shuffling the cards for the final deal.
Let the cards fall. We have a strong hand to play.
And speaking personally, I intend to cheat.
My. Well, I'll say this for the Bone Cloaks. They know their mushrooms.
Perhaps they should expand their horizons. Too much time obsessing over fungi seems to leave them a bit, well, like them.
Oh, a byproduct of their profession. Few can spend a lifetime inhaling fungal spores without turning out a bit muddled between the ears.
How I have longed for these familiar sounds and sights.
Well, I'll be. So even the ferocious Lae'zel has a soft side.
A possessive side. What is a warrior without something precious to protect?
I don't suppose you really have much use for gold, do you, Astarion?
It's not required, but it is nice to have. It buys any number of ways to keep life interesting.
Go on then. Coyness isn't in your nature. What would you do with unlimited funds?
Let's just say blood tastes better from a gold goblet. And silk bedsheets improve any nighttime activity.
This place is foul. Drow would not tolerate rivers of waste flowing so close to their residences.
You've got slaves to manage your sanitation. Baldur's Gate doesn't. Though we do rely quite heavily on kobolds.
But surely the kobolds are slaves.
Hell no.
Strahd. Yet one more reason to despair for the fate of this city.
This is it, Gale. Today, we annihilate the heart of the Absolute's power. The bards will sing of our victory here.
Entirely unnecessary. Though, if they are so inclined, I might be convinced to share a stanza or two of my own for inspiration. Whatever the outcome of what's just ahead, it will be the stuff of legends.
If Minsk had any hairs on his head, this place would set them all a-standing. And look how Boo bunches his hackles.
We three have come through darker places than this together, Minsk. And hamsters don't have hackles.
Does Jaheira not set your heart at ease, Boo? It is comforting to know that one so wise can be so wrong.
Baldur's Gate's sewer system could use a few improvements.
The smell getting to you, Lae'zel.
It isn't the smell that bothers me, it's the inefficiency. An entire underground wasted on waste that could simply be teleported to wild space.
Once the Absolute's finished, I'll be sure to propose your idea to the Council.
Goblins are such vile little parasites.
Not the vilest any of us have seen of late, unfortunately. Given your own nature, are you really the one to judge?
I knew you were a graceful man, Will, but I hear you're quite the dancer, too. I've been known to trip the light fantastic myself. Mine was a popular hand at the annual Blackstaff's ball.
I'd have loved to have witnessed it, Gale. I wager you are as elegant on the dance floor as you are on the battlefield.
Oh, look at all this mucus. Wonder if our nautiloid came from down here.
It's a possibility. This is no mere mind flayer colony, but an entire Geich bastion.
I'm ready for the goo.
Killed a few giant bats in my day, Astarion, but never hunted a vampire.
Just to remind you, I'm merely a spawn. It won't count. But if you want a true vampire, I'm happy to recommend one.
I heard what took place at Saluna's shrine, Shadowheart. Was such defilement truly necessary?
Lady Shah demanded an offering, and I provided. Are you truly that scandalized, Halsin?
More disappointed, I would say.
Sounds like jealousy to me. I couldn't risk your wild side getting too excited at the scent of blood.
Spent much time in the Underdark?
I never was scared of the shadows. The blade slayed a death dog or six, crossed a few dwergar. Some. And you? Seems a perfect hunting ground for, you know.
Perfect. You tried drinking an Earth Elemental's blood.
What did you mean before, Gale? A woman with shadows for eyes, you said.
Merely that if the eyes are the mirror to the soul, yours have dark curtains across the mirror. No offense taken, I hope.
Not necessarily. I haven't made up my mind about you yet.
Oh, I smell a fight brewing.
Then let it brew. Some radical thinkers claim that peace is a valid option, you know.
And miss a good barroom brawl? Not me, sir.
Last Light's defenders. Slaughtered. Every last one.
They didn't deserve this. They were arrogant enough to try and withstand Lady Shah's power. This was always going to be the end result.
Ever heard of a vampire called Cazador? Well,
I don't think so. Why? Friend of yours?
He's patriarch of the Tsar family. Nasty fellow, if the histories are accurate.
I imagine they are.
Fiend worship. I'm not trying to pick a fight, Will, but it really seems like a blatantly ill-advised idea.
It's the furthest thing from my mind. Besides, Shadowheart, not all fiends are cut from the same scorched cloth.
How do they differ, then? The number of horns? The exact timbre of their evil laugh?
The right of these prisoners to die in mortal combat was stolen from them.
Hardly the worst atrocity the Absolutes committed.
One of many, but by no means the least. To die properly is a matter of honor.
I cannot help but feel that destiny is tightening its grip on our forward path.
Win or lose, we're nearly there, right?
Indeed. But I just wanted to take the chance to say, it has been a pleasure, Karlach.
The feeling's highly mutual, Bear Man.
These woods feel unsettling. Like they're dangling on the edge between life and death.
Isn't that how you feel all the time, Astarion? I thought you'd find it comforting.
Funny. Very funny.
So, Will with a Y. Why?
Why? That's right.
But why?
Why? A great uncle to name, my father said. But I just figured he couldn't spell.
Transforming into a mind flayer might have its perks. At least then I could float over this muck.
Not one for roughing it, I see.
Wallowing in filth is for pigs and children, my dear.
Pigs, children, and people with a little bit of grit.
This is no aimless horde. The Absolute's forces are organized. What do you make of it, Gale?
All enemies have some chink in their armor, no matter how much they like to believe themselves invulnerable. That's what we must find.
And if we don't find any clear weakness?
Then we hope our mutual strengths are enough to dominate them. Or we die nobly in the attempt.
Never knew Sharans to be so... military.
It shouldn't surprise you. We've been at war with Selûne since before most of history was written. An eternal conflict from the viewpoint of mortals.
Problem with eternal wars is they never end.
I was wondering about your queen, Vlaakith. What tales of her reach us are terrifying. But I suppose that's not how you would describe her.
Vlaakith is unity. Fear and beauty. Life and unlife. Eyes like onyx. Teeth like daggers. There is none more perfect.
Sounds vile. I assume the meaning of perfect was lost in translation.
Moonrise Towers lies ahead. We're nearing the heart of the Absolute. I'm certain of it.
Then let us push forward, heads high, weapons in hand, and turn this tower to rubble.
Your confidence is encouraging, but a little premature. Let's keep our eyes on the task ahead. Or I, as the case may be.
So, a vampire spawn and a monster hunter in the same group. We're not going to have trouble, are we?
Excuse me. Since this tadpole, I'm barely a monster at all.
I don't see a problem. As long as Mr. Fang there keeps his appetite in check.
I just want to survive, same as you.
Who's in charge of the mind flayers, Lae'zel? Is there a Squid King or something?
No. Each Geich is servant to an elder brain. No king unites elders. Only their collective tyranny.
A mind flayer monarch. Imagine that. Such a thing could shatter worlds.
Well, well. The fabled haunt of Nine Fingers Keen.
Never visited before. I thought you got around.
I always steered clear. If guild members started disappearing, people would start asking questions. And Cazador hated questions.
Understandable, when the answer is invariably, the silver-haired one ate them.
These people seem soldiers by their bearing. What say you, Lae'zel?
The enforcers of order, unmistakable in their vigilant bearing. So it goes across all the planes and their peoples.
On this plane, the story always ends the same way. Order collapses, and shadows take the light.
Ready to enter the belly of the beast.
Oh, it's the stairs I'm dreading. I shall close my eyes and pretend I'm climbing my own, far superior tower in Waterdeep.
In that case, welcome home.
Astarion, how is the rat diet going?
It may soon come to an end if you don't shut your mouth.
Still no symptoms.
No sign of tentacles so far.
The same. Except for a knot of worry in my stomach that's in no rush to go away.
That I can relate to.
The Blade of Frontiers, hmm? Do you always need to be the center of attention?
Anything but. I don't fight to be flattered, Lae'zel. I fight to save lives.
The birthing ground of those steel monstrosities. I would feel little sorrow if this place should close forever.
Oh, come on. You have to be at least a little impressed by the craftsmanship. There's only so much you can do with wood.
Not so in my experience. There is little I cannot whittle.
Oh. Did you do that on purpose?
I'm feeling a bit parched and peckish.
Me too. Keep an eye out for any passing vagrants.
I'm afraid you'll have to content yourself with vagrant chickens.
So, Githyanki undergarments. Very fashionable.
The underharnesses are often used for strapping oneself onto a red dragon.
Ooh, fashion and function. You lot really have it all figured out.
So, Will, what was the Blade of Frontier's toughest kill?
It was a great scrap. A hungry minotaur with a hankering for human flesh. An axe-bearing mountain of fur she was. Gave me a nasty scar.
I hope you don't mind if I don't ask to see it.
Is this your first time on the Sword Coast, Lae'zel?
Yes. It is much more lively than the Githyanki slates led me to believe.
Just wait till you see Baldur's Gate. You'll never want to leave.
Shadowheart, the way you paint around your eyes, they look permanently cloaked in shadow.
It brings me closer to Lady Shah. One day all of our eyes will feast on her endless darkness.
And yet your bed pillow bears barely a smudge. You are a woman of many talents.
No harm in a little mystery. Besides, I think it suits my bone structure.
There is no true authority in this city. The guards are more degenerate than the criminals.
Ah, the smell of fresh blood spilled on stone. It reminds me of the tunnels within my home of Kalir.
I would like to visit your home one day, Lae'zel. Where is Kalir?
You may know it as Stardock, an asteroid, one of the tears of Selûne. Its tunnels are home to all manner of creatures to hunt. Vicious, unrelenting. The sort of place I imagine you'd take to, Minthara.
Prisoners!
More like soon-to-be tadpole residences. Every infected prisoner will just make things harder on us.
Let's go blast a brine pool then.
It's a deal, so long as you watch my back.
Boo says the many colors remind him of home, but Minsk has never enjoyed these fireworks.
They may have their purposes. You could cast fireballs of sorts without having to spend years studying magic tomes.
Archdruid, you are as formidable in mind as you are in muscle. Gather the sparking sticks, Boo! With sword in one hand and these in the other, we need truck with wizards no more!
I find the locals' fascination with the beach is but a conspiracy for prudes to leer at each other unquestioned.
Some act as though displaying bare flesh is a more heinous crime than murder and robbery.
Why does anyone bother wearing swim garments at all?
I'm not inclined to bother myself, but I suppose it keeps the city watch at bay.
The masons here thought they were building something to last. How wrong they were.
Perhaps it's a blessing that none of them survived to see it fall to the shadows.
No need for such a grim assumption. Halcyon helped many to escape these shadows before the town was consumed.
Then some masons were more blessed still, if they could put their talents to use elsewhere. Perhaps some of their work even graces Baldur's Gate.
Since you're the only one in good form out here, I'll trust you to lead the way, Shadowheart.
Actually, I've been stripped of that particular advantage. But I will forge ahead, nonetheless.
Atta girl.
A gay colony. Illithids are certainly the driving force behind this absolute cult.
The hierarchy of command is not yet clear, child. Can you be sure the Illithids are in control?
You seemed quite forward with your compliments earlier. We'd only just met.
Seize the day, I say. More now than ever.
Careful you don't pull a muscle in your haste.
Once, you could hear nature's symphony in this place. Now, it is quiet. Quiet and dead.
I can make some animal noises, if it'll make you feel more at home.
You bleat well enough as it is.
If you wish to be rid of your devil, Will, we should just kill her and be done with it.
And incur the wrath of the hells. I might as well just leap straight into the fires.
Isn't it so that every time you speak as you cast a spell, you're endeavouring to call upon Mystra? I'm surprised she still listens to you.
She has no choice. She's sworn to hear all magic users. Even me. I'm sure she at least stuffs her fingers in her ears to muffle my invocations.
Do you think your kin search for you, Lae'zel?
I know they do not. It is my responsibility to cleanse myself.
They pursued the Nautiloid. Perhaps they were trying to free you.
A vain notion. I am one of many, and will not be a burden to my queen.
Admittedly, I don't care for most people, but this is a terrible waste.
Because their lives were cut brutally short, you mean?
Yes, that. That's clearly what I was referring to.
The whole village is falling to pieces. These goblins aren't exactly house-proud as occupiers go.
Wouldn't blame the gobs. Place looks like it's been abandoned a good while. But hey, maybe we can scare up a few dusty bottles of wine somewheres.
I like your way of thinking. Split any takings we find?
Sister, you've got a deal.
The traitor Kithrak takes great interest in this relic of yours, Shadowheart. Or should I say, weapon. What are you hiding?
Nothing. I assume your kin are just as misguided as you are.
The history of the city itself is captured in the archives here. A fascinating resource.
I wonder what those archives will reveal about us 100 years hence.
Only the most excellent and complimentary things. With some encouragement from us, of course.
I'm sweating bullets. What if I blow our cover?
Simplicity is the key to good deception. If in doubt, try thinking less.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm reminded of a book Father kept hidden in a drawer. The Salty Mermaid. Do you know of it, Shadowheart?
The pinnacle of good trash. Even I can't forget that one too easily. Your father was a man of fine taste. Fabian ran his calloused fingers along Allura's scales. Her tail quivered in response.
Taste me, Allura pleaded. Fabian smashed his lips against hers, and their tongues twisted together like two eels in the Sword Sea.
Well, it's no Baldur's Gate, but at least it's some kind of civilization.
I do miss the gate, though. The Elf Song Tavern, sunset over Grey Harbour, fried fish at the docks.
Drunk young patriarchs, naked in the fountains. Ah, civilization.
Dark enough for you, Shadowheart?
Nothing wrong with a nice, subdued ambience. It can help flatter even the homeliest of faces.
I'll try to keep my fire to a gentle throb.
Our great adventure nears its climax. If I should fall, I want you all to know it's been an honor to fight beside you.
You will not fall, Warlock. And if you do, Minsk shall simply pick you up again. What? Do you doubt us in this final hour?
Yeah, but you're Minsk.
And you are Will of the Pale Eye. Now hush, and turn your mind towards our many, many, many enemies.
Look at this place. Such horrors defy description.
Silence can be best. Give it a try sometime.
Moonrise Towers at last. Make no mistake, I will have answers about these gay tadpoles.
Easy, Lae'zel. We need answers, yes, but you catch more flies with honey than vinegar.
Lae'zel, have you ever done a good deed just for the sake of it?
I have performed deeds well and efficiently. Is this what you mean?
Not exactly. But you answered my question.
What if this crash doesn't work out, Lae'zel? What if your kin fail you?
If I can reach the creche, my kin will provide. Any failure will be mine alone.
If you say so. Just don't expect me to put all my eggs in the same basket.
That expression must sound curious to a Githyanki ear, given the way they're birthed.
Gods, who knew such a vile abscess lurked in the bedrock of the city? The very stone reeks of misery and despair.
A sad shrine kept by the lunatic and the lost. The last time I was here, I promised myself I would die beneath open sky. I have not changed my mind.
Nor should you. Far better to feel a cool breeze on your skin than whatever foul expirations blow through these halls.
What's your gripe with Selûne anyway, Shadowheart?
She betrayed her sister and ruined the balance of things. Imagine turning on those who love you for your own glory.
Can't say I love what they've done with the place.
Unsurprising, really. Fanatical cultists tend to care more for ambience than aesthetics.
Reason enough to put them all to the sword, I say.
So, have we buried the hatchet, Lae'zel?
No. Why would I bury a weapon? Is it broken?
It's a metaphor.
I do not know your metaphor. But if you need help digging, I will find a shovel.
All this stonework has me thinking. Would you ever want a statue of yourself, Will?
It seems a rather vain notion to me, but I can't say I haven't thought about it. How about you?
I suppose it might be nice to be remembered, though I'd be less keen on having birds perching on my head forevermore.
Think of the, mess they'd make. Well, better your statue's head than your own.
What's this? A clever little hideaway. A little too clever, if you ask me. Watch out for traps.
Not just clever, rather ingenious. Somehow its construction keeps the shadow curse at bay.
I smell danger on the wind. Keep your weapons ready.
I get it, Lae'zel. Peril, danger, and so forth. All I can think of now is a nice fish dinner. The only thing the wind's carrying is the smell of trout, Lae'zel. We're near the fish market.
Discount my warning at your peril.
The end must be near. No regrets, Gale. You may have been better off staying inside that boulder.
Unlikely. Had I stayed there much longer, the orb would have reduced it to rubble. Besides, think of all the fun I'd have missed out on.
Fun? Well, yes. I suppose we did manage to make the best of things.